Repeating problem. You've probably noticed this. You explain something carefully. You slow down. You choose simple words. The other person listens. They nod. They even agree. And yet somehow, nothing changes. The same mistake repeats. The same confusion comes back. The same conversation happens again. At some point, you start wondering, is this really a communication problem? Machiavelli's observation. Niccolo Machiavelli spent his life watching people in power face this exact situation, not in conversations, but in courts, councils, and cities. He noticed something uncomfortable. Most people don't fail to understand because ideas are unclear. They fail because they process the world in a much narrower way. They respond to emotion, habit, and authority, not careful reasoning. Dangerous habit of explaining. When you keep explaining, you're not helping them understand. You're doing something else. Something Machiavelli warned leaders never to do. Machiavelli never assumed people were rational. This is the first mistake most intelligent people make. They believe that if an idea is logical, it will eventually be accepted. If it's explained clearly, it will be understood. If they stay calm and patient, things will improve. Machiavelli saw the opposite. How people actually respond. Most people don't respond to reasoning first. They respond to position, who is speaking, from where, with how much certainty. Understanding often comes later, if it comes at all. This is why explaining yourself too much quietly works against you. Not because explanation is bad, but because who you explain to matters more than how you explain. Questions as power tests. When someone keeps asking you to explain yourself, it doesn't always mean they want clarity. Very often, it means they are unsure whether they should accept your position. Questions can also be a way to test authority. Each explanation slows the interaction down. Each clarification opens the door to doubt. Each added reason turns a decision into a discussion. And once something becomes a discussion, the person asking the questions feels equal to the one answering them. Position over intelligence. The problem is not intelligence, it's position. Most people don't ask, is this correct? They ask, who is saying this? Do others accept it? What happens if I don't? So when you keep explaining yourself, you unintentionally move yourself into a weaker position. You look like someone seeking approval, not someone setting direction. Not everyone deserves reasoning. Not everyone should be spoken to in the same way. Some people can handle reasoning, but most people prefer clarity over truth, certainty over nuance, direction over discussion. When you give long explanations to people who don't process that way, they don't feel informed, they feel overwhelmed, and overwhelmed people don't respect you more. Momentum and authority. Machiavelli believed momentum was essential to power. A leader who keeps stopping to explain appears uncertain, even if they're not. And uncertainty spreads faster than logic. This is how authority slowly erodes, not through rebellion, but through endless conversation. Who gets access to your reasoning? Machiavelli didn't say never explain. He said choose carefully who gets access to your reasoning. To some people, you give reasons. To most, you give outcomes. The mistake is not explaining once. The mistake is explaining again to someone who already showed they won't or can't process it. Sorting people by behavior. Power starts when you recognize not everyone is meant to understand. Not every question deserves an answer. Not every conversation should continue. Machiavelli learned to sort people quickly by behavior. How people react to decisions tells you everything. Some accept outcomes and move on. Others reopen settled matters and keep asking questions. Explanation versus permission. The first group didn't need explanations to comply. The second group didn't want explanations. They wanted leverage. If someone accepts outcomes first, they may deserve reasoning later. If someone resists outcomes, reasoning will not help them. Here is the mistake most people make. They think explanation creates respect, but Machiavelli saw that for many people, explanation creates permission. Permission to argue, permission to negotiate, permission to challenge. Silence as authority. This is why Machiavelli warned leaders not to expose their reasoning to everyone. When you stop explaining yourself, the first thing that happens is discomfort, not yours, theirs. People are used to explanations because explanations make them feel involved. At first, they test you. They ask more questions. They repeat the same ones. This is not confusion, it's resistance. When people adjust, But when you hold your position and don't rush to explain, most people adjust. They begin to accept that not everything is open for discussion. People listen more closely when they know you won't repeat yourself endlessly. Your words start to carry weight again. Silence becomes a filter. It separates those who respect outcomes from those who only respect discussion. The final shift. Machiavelli believed that power is not about force. It's about managing expectations. You stop feeling the need to convince. You stop feeling drained after conversations. You stop replaying discussions in your head. You are not responsible for making everyone understand. You are responsible for making decisions that hold. Power without noise. When explanation becomes rare, it becomes valuable. Powerful people explain after decisions are accepted, not before. Explanation that comes later feels like insight. Explanation that comes first invites debate. Over time, people stop pushing. They stop assuming everything is negotiable. You say less, but what you say matters more. Things move forward without you having to explain why. Power is not something you display. It is something others adjust to. When you stop explaining unnecessarily, people watch what you do instead of waiting for what you say. And behavior, not words, is what shapes reality.